So I want to talk about FOMO. FOMO is, as you probably know, the fear of missing out. And for me is really one of the most fascinating things when it comes to the ego mind, because it allows the ego to basically play both sides and create absolute confusion no matter which way you go, no matter which option you consider moving forward with. And this came up recently in a conversation. One of the girls in particular got invited to go to an out-of-state event, and everything about the event sounded fantastic to her. It was checking off all the boxes. It was right up her alley in so many ways, and it even had an element of scarcity, which I joke about because that's something that the ego mind absolutely loves and was really jumping all over. Now, leading up to the event, she was really excited, and she said she felt really aligned to go, at least in that moment. And as she was making plans and getting closer to the deadline, looking at flights and hotels and all the things that are involved, she started to really feel this feeling of hesitation come in. And being about, maybe just less than a week away, she's now right in the middle of taking care of all of these last details. Booking her flight, looking at hotels, does she have a car? Who could she stay with in order to save money on accommodations? All of these things. How much would the layover be? How long would that last for? Would I have to wear a mask? People are talking about delays. So there's all kinds of things that start coming into her mind. And although she wasn't probably sure in that moment, at least not consciously, she was starting to feel less and less aligned with going. And inside her mind, perhaps not fully in that complete awareness, her ego was basically working its magic. It was bringing up every single point of concern about anything that she could have worried about the trip. And she naturally started thinking about canceling. And to look at this from the outside, it would make perfect sense. There was very good reason why perhaps it would be better if she didn't go. But the moment she started entertaining the idea of not going, then her ego mind jumped on that side of the fence. And it started beating her up about all the things that were implied if she didn't go. What about the organizers? How would they feel? She was excited to go in the beginning. Now she looks like she's backing out. What are they going to think about her? What kind of inconvenience is she going to be causing everybody? There was the element of scarcity in the marketing. They needed X number of people to be at this event in order for the magic to happen. And if she backed out and she knew other people were backing out, she was starting to feel responsible. Right? This feeling of guilt started setting in. There's also that she was talking with some of the other people who were attending the event and was considering teaming up with them, saving some money on accommodations, or maybe splitting a car. And so the guilt starts to set in about how I'm inconveniencing or letting down these other people. So her mind was literally going back and forth, and her ego was making her feel bad about both decisions. So she's literally stuck in the middle. She's unsure of what to do, stuck in the middle of this tug of war in her ego mind. And every time she went one way, the ego would chase her there. Every time she went the other way, well, maybe I'll stay home, the ego chased her there. But even just being in the middle, that opened the door for even more attack from the ego. So, it's a double-edged sword, this FOMO, but it's really a triple-edged sword. Because it's going to beat you up if you say, yes, I want to go, I want to do this. It's going to beat you up if you say, no, I don't want to do this. And then it's going to beat you up if you can't decide. Because now it's going to make you feel like you're a failure because you're stuck in the middle. And what? You can't make a decision? What? You're not able to listen to your own inner guidance? It will say everything and anything to you. Remember, the objective is just to keep you into a state of confusion and making you feel so bad about yourself that you just stay in the corner and don't do anything, right? Ultimately, that is the goal of the ego, is to make you feel like you cannot take a step in any direction, that you need to be led, you need to have your hand held, you need to be spoon-fed everything because you feel like you cannot think for yourself or make your own decision. And that's why so much of what's going on right now is the perfect setup to bring all of this up. So I walked her through kind of what I'm explaining to you now. And we had a chance to really go back and forth about this and illuminate what the ego was up to. And at one point, because it was so confusing, I don't blame her at all. She asked me, can I tune into her higher self to find out what it was really trying to guide her to do and what was in highest alignment? But I have not had the green light to go ahead and do that for quite a long time, because I'm being asked to support others, not by giving them the answers and being, the one that is doing it, quote, for them, but to guide and to help encourage and show others how we can all do this. It's just a matter of how comfortable or familiar we are with it, but it's something we can all do. So doing it for her wasn't something I could do, but I could sort of walk her through the steps and walk her through analyzing the situation. And we did use a process that she had been taught along with 2 other small intimate groups of people earlier that year, and it's called Unwind Your Mind, and it's designed specifically for this, because trying to analyze a situation or an opportunity or a decision we're trying to make in the middle of having our mind the ego so highly activated, it can feel next to impossible. So we decided to go and walk through this whole process together, and she was taking all of the steps, and we were just witnessing her as she did it. And it was fascinating exploration, and it was riveting. And anybody who was watching and just witnessing the dialogue as it unfolded, it went into the wee hours of the night and then continued into the following morning. And people shared how valuable it was to witness one person going through the process, unwinding something that was a big decision in their own life, but everyone else's higher self, everyone else's ego was witnessing the unraveling of the story and then the transformation that was taking place in this one person who was going through the process. So it was a very powerful experience. It happened very quick. We didn't know what to expect, but it was immensely powerful. So she was able to bring some clarity to the whole situation, illuminate the things that were actually just her ego mind running away with the story. And what it allowed her to do, and it was beautiful to see it unfold, was she was able to get herself to a place where she knew what she wanted. And she knew that, okay, this is what feels more aligned to me. Once she could feel that core alignment, all that FOMO really started to melt away. And then she was able to take the steps forward in the direction that she really wanted to go without all of those triggered emotional responses kicking in as strongly. And I'm not going to tell you that they didn't come up at all, because this is something, the patterning that she identified was stuff that had been with her whole life since she's a little kid. And so there's very strong neural pathways that have been built that supports those kinds of thought patterns. And then the other step, though, is to be able to properly clear it and release it at a spiritual and energetic level. And she did it beautifully. So if you ever get hit with FOMO, I'd encourage you to just stop and ask yourself, whose voice am I really listening to? And then you'll know which way to go. I hope this was supportive for you. And if you're interested in learning the process that our sister used, I'll leave a link in the area below so you can find out more. And just remember, whether it comes to making a decision or changing your perspective on something, or even bringing your body back into a state of more well-being, we are always just one shift away.